Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sustaining Sustainability. I'm your host, CB Bhattacharya, Professor and Director of the Center for Sustainable Business at the University of Pittsburgh. This week, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by Diane Kappas, a University of Pittsburgh alumna who is Vice President of Global Sustainability at PPG, a valued member of the Center for Sustainable Business. PPG operations reach more than 70 countries, and the company had net sales of more than 16.8 billion in 2021, with 38% of their sales coming from sustainably advantaged products. In 2022, PPG achieved several sustainability accolades, including being named the best place to work for disability inclusion. They earned an EcoVadis Gold rating, and they were also named the top producer of sustainable paints and coatings by Corporate Knights Clean 200 list. Diane has been with PPG for over 35 years and has held leadership roles in a variety of functions with P&L responsibilities. She recently transitioned to the newly created role of VP of Global Sustainability in 2021. Here, she leads a small global team that collaborates across PPG to drive the company's sustainability efforts. Diane, welcome to the show.
Thank you, CB. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Absolutely, and likewise. Diane, you've been with PPG for over 35 years and VP of Global Sustainability for a little over a year amid all things COVID. So, what has this transition been like for you, and what goals are you setting for yourself and PPG in this new leadership role?
COVID certainly has had an impact on all of us personally and professionally, CB. These last couple of years, I think, have shown our resiliency, but it's also identified weaknesses. And I think perhaps that is bringing more attention to topics like sustainability and ESG. I think they're becoming more critical than ever. And certainly for PPG, they have. So the company created this position only in July of 2021. So I'm very pleased to be the first global sustainability leader for PPG. The transition was actually not very difficult for me. I've previously held corporate global roles for PPG. I was the vice president of environment, health, and safety about 10 years ago. And moving into the role for me was straightforward. I was able to really quickly build on the good work that has been started and networked and really understood the challenges and opportunities for the company. Goals, I think, for me in the role, I've been given a very unique opportunity to create a center of sustainability expertise at PPG. And I think of our team as a team of change leaders that are going to shepherd the company forward with really increasing ambitions to align to our purpose to protect and beautify the world. And I think for PPG, my primary goal is to be seen as a leader in sustainability and a critical business partner that enables our customers' ability to accomplish their sustainability goals. So we've got a lot of opportunity here in front of us, and I think we're all excited to have this new organization formed in PPG.
Yeah, so now you talked about purpose, and we know that strong corporate purpose helps engage employees. So, how has PPG's purpose changed, if at all, since you've been there, and where do you see it moving in the future?
Well, I think I've officially made 37 years now with the company, and so there's been quite a substantial change in the time that I've been in the company. And some listeners and yourself included, CB, may recall or realize that Pittsburgh plate glass started almost 140 years ago with a focus on making plate glass right here in the Pittsburgh area in Creighton, Pennsylvania. But so much of the corporate portfolio has been transformed over that 140 years. And today we're actually a leader in coatings, one of the world's largest coatings companies. And so our purpose has evolved quite a bit over that time and certainly over my lifetime with the company. So today we really do focus on protecting and beautifying the world with our solutions, our coating solutions, and specialty material solutions. When I think about the future, I think we're going to continue to evolve our purpose and really look for those opportunities to leverage our unique set of knowledge, skills, technical capabilities to help solve some of the world's most challenging problems with really sustainable solutions. We have for many, many years been evolving our portfolio to focus on ways in which we can as an example, make assets more durable. Our coatings really extend the life of many, many assets around the world, whether it's a car or a bridge or a boat. And when you think about that as a first principle of the circular economy, the concept that you'll keep assets in useful life as long as possible, we've really been participating in this space for a very long time. It's just now that we're thinking, how might we leverage and evolve and really drive the future of the company with a more sustainable focus?
So clearly, you need your workforce to be engaged in this journey. So, how do you mobilize the workforce at PPG to be engaged in reducing the environmental impact of your operations?
Well, the good news is we have a long history of really focusing on operational excellence and material usage efficiency. We've used historically metrics like absolute material utilization as a way of measuring our efficiency. And I think sustainable operations start with material efficiency. We've always focused on waste and reducing our waste from our processes, optimizing our costs. But I think, we're taking it to another level in that our coatings operations in particular are not very big energy users. It doesn't take a lot of energy to produce a gallon of paint. So I think our focus there has never been as strong. And so what we're trying to do to engage our workforce, first and foremost, is educate them on the importance of energy efficiency as well, and really focusing on connecting the dots to how that impacts climate. We're doing a lot more with educational videos and communications internally, externally. Then we're going to set very clear targets because at PPG, what gets measured gets done. And then we're going to hold people accountable, I would say even differently than we have in the past, with a clear path to accomplishing our targets and recognizing and rewarding when we do.
Yeah, clearly, this is going to be important because you have made several 2025 commitments, like reducing energy consumption by 15%, reducing water intensity by 20%, reducing greenhouse gas emissions intensity by 15%. So, how is PPG doing on these commitments? And can you talk a little bit about your recent commitment to the Science Based Target Initiative?
Well, I think at the end of 2021, we published our ESG report. We do that annually, and we published our 2021 report in May of this year and encourage the listeners to take a look at those results online. I would say we're doing fairly well overall in accomplishing the majority of those 2025 targets you mentioned. We have fallen short, or we're not tracking, I should say, to where we want to be with energy efficiency. Ironically, I just mentioned that's an area where we have not been focused enough. And so we are seeing the results are not living up to our expectations. And water intensity, actually. And I'll tell you the reason for that is we peanut butter spread some of those goals when we set them several years ago. And today, as we look at the goals and we think about moving forward with 2030 goals, we're going to be more focused and targeted with our efforts and look at the sites that, as an example, are in water scarcity regions. And we'll put water conservation programs in those sites specifically. And energy efficiency, we're going to really focus on making investments where we're consuming larger amounts of energy. We still have some parts of our business portfolios in the specialty material space that use more energy. And so we're going to get a lot more focused, and I think that's going to be critical for our success going forward. And so when we think about the Science Based Target Initiative, we did commit to the Science Based Target Initiative in May of this year. That will be a scope 1, 2, and 3 set of greenhouse gas emission reductions. We have been reporting scopes 1 and 2 for many years. Scope 3 is new for us. Calculating our greenhouse gas inventory in scope 3 and then setting targets and driving actions to achieve those targets are our next opportunity. And so we'll be working on that and publishing our 2030, hopefully validated Science-Based Target Initiative goals in the first quarter of 2021. So that's an exciting new journey we're on. And when we release our new greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, we'll also be releasing overall new sustainability targets for 2030 that will challenge us to deliver even more ambitious goals.
That's great to hear. Now, tell us a little bit about Scope 3. So, what steps are you taking with respect to local, national, and your global supply chains to achieve your goals and targets? And similarly, what about with customers? That's another part of it. How do you support your customer sustainability goals?
So if you can picture PPG as in a value chain where we sit right in the middle of the value chain from our suppliers, which in many ways is the chemical industry supplying the raw materials we use to formulate our products, and then we sell downstream either directly to consumers for certainly a good portion of our company, but also to the industrial segment where we're selling to, let's say, automakers or people who are painting wind turbines or painting electronic devices like laptops. So when we think about our scope 3 emissions, we have a very large amount of scope 3 emissions up and downstream of where we operate. In our new organization we've created, we have resources that we've embedded into our business teams, and their role is to work with customers and those business teams to identify those value creating opportunities where we can understand the needs of our customer to meet their goals and how we can help them with sustainable solutions. So we've been spending a tremendous amount of time sitting across the table with our customers and their sustainability leadership teams so that we can work together and collaborate on solutions that are going to help enable their success in this area. We go upstream and we're doing the same. So we're starting to engage far more than we ever have with our supply base in doing the exact same thing, meeting with their sustainability leaders, understanding what they're doing to reduce their emissions footprint. If we think about our suppliers, their scope 1 and 2 is our scope 3. So we're intimately involved with understanding how are they going to continue driving down their emissions, and then how do we partner with those suppliers to come up with material solutions that help us formulate products for our customers. So that collaboration across the value chain is, quite frankly, the only way we're going to move the needle in this space. And so I would say we're opening doors that we have not opened in the past and really encouraging a lot of open discussion and collaboration at both ends of the value chain.
That's excellent. And because I always tell my students that when it comes to sustainability, let's collaborate and let's put it in the pre competitive space. We don't have to compete on who's going to change the world first. Now, in the past few decades, ESG has gone from industry jargon to something we're all talking about to something no one can seem to agree on. With all the recent conversations on what is and isn't ESG, what is your view of ESG, and what do you think would help increase ESG literacy amid the current conversation landscape?
Yeah, environmental social governance certainly is a topic that has a lot of definitions, I agree. But I think to put it simply, really, I believe it's meant to hold companies accountable for not only their profitability, but also for their impact on the planet and society overall. I like to think about ESG as a scorecard of a company's ability to create long term value for all of their stakeholders, not just returns to shareholders. Because, we exist in an ecosystem. And I think we have a shared responsibility to keeping that ecosystem healthy. So that's how I view ESG. I think we all need to improve our ability to tell a more fully integrated story to help that literacy by really showing the interdependencies between the three pillars. And when we think about, our purpose as a company to protect and beautify the world, we need to tell that story and shift the narrative to how can we do that if we don't hire the best talent? The best talent is diverse. So we see that as a business imperative to have diversity in our population, equity, and an inclusive work environment. How can we innovate for our customers if we're not really working with our supply base to ensure they're, working environmentally responsibly as well? Or how can we even have a license to operate in the world if we don't do so ethically with a responsibility to the communities where we live and operate? So I think there's a tremendous amount of interdependencies, and I think we need to shift the narrative to how companies can do more good in the world instead of doing less harm. And I don't see profitability and responsible operations as being mutually exclusive. I think we can be a highly profitable company and work together to solve some of the challenges we all face around climate change and social and environmental challenges.
Well said. And a fascinating conversation, but we are coming to the close of our time. So, Diane, what call to action would you make to our listeners?
Well, I've used this before and I'm going to use it again. I really do like the Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. I think even if you haven't started on a sustainability journey, really there is no better time than now, given the trajectory of climate change and its impact on all of us. So I encourage everyone to get started. I think we're going to all learn We're going to make mistakes along the way. Some of us will accomplish our goals, others will not, and that's no reason to not get started. So we all ought to get started and take some action now to do everything we can to drive a more sustainable future.
Diane, thank you for spending some of your precious time with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking with you, CB.
And before I sign off, I want to thank you again. Be sure to check out all of our past episodes on our website, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow, leave a rating or review, and recommend an episode to a friend or colleague. All of these things help us in our mission to galvanize businesses to thrive for all stakeholders. This podcast is made possible with the help of my colleagues Chris Gassman, who is Senior Associate Director at the Center for Sustainable Business, Kristen P. Ahern, Center Program Manager, and Gabby Pogel, a Digital Marketing Specialist with the Center. I am your host, CB Bhattacharya, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks for another edition of Sustaining Sustainability.